Network. Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robian Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In nationwide news at this hour, newly appointed Minister of Finance Favour Williams says the PNP's Julian Robinson's claim regarding debt-to-GDP ratio in 2016 is incorrect.
Bare-faced hypocrisy.
That's how the JLP has responded to the PNP's concern about Marissa Dalrymple Philibert's candidacy for the by-election in South Trelawney.
And Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert says she's not committed any criminal wrongdoing despite being brought before the courts by the Integrity Commission.
I am committed to the fact that I did not do anything criminally wrong.
Prisoner who escaped from the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston today sentenced to 18 years in prison in his absence.
In news from the rest of the world, the Cayman Islands government is on the brink of collapse after 3 cabinet ministers and a parliamentary secretary quit.
More than 60 million votes already cast in U.S. election as Trump and Harris target key swing states.
In headline sports, Moti takes 4 wickets as West Indies bowls England out cheaply in first ODI in Antigua.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the JLP is rejecting concerns raised by the PNP about Marissa Dalrymple Philibert's expected candidacy in the upcoming by-election in South Trelawney as another clear act of barefaced hypocrisy, which it says has characterized the Mark Golding-led party. The PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and the JLP's Deputy General Secretary, Charles Sinclair, will join us.
From 6 to 8, join us for a live broadcast of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation's Town Hall meeting, bringing the budget to the people. You'll hear from Kingston's Mayor, Andrew Swaby, and several councillors in the corporation. You'll also hear from their Chief Financial Officer as he is set to present the 2024 to 2025 financial budgetary projections.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, Thursday, October 31, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Popcorn Chicken. Now available in barbecue. Do whatever the crunch you want with KFC's Popcorn Chicken. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Newly appointed Minister of Finance Favour Williams says claims made by her opposition counterpart Julian Robinson regarding the country's debt in 2016 are incorrect. She issued a statement on Thursday responding to Mr. Robinson. Robian Williams reports.
During Tuesday's sitting of Parliament, Prime Minister Andrew Holness stated that Jamaica's debt-to-GDP ratio was 145% when the JLP administration took office in February 2016. The following day, Mr. Robinson, in a statement, labeled the Prime Minister's comments as erroneous. According to Mr. Robinson, Jamaica's debt-to-GDP ratio was 115% when the PNP left office in 2016. But in a statement today, Minister Williams says Mr. Robinson's assertion that the debt-to-GDP ratio was 115% at the time the PNP left office in 2016 was inaccurate.
It is important to note that the debt-to-GDP reduction between 2016 to 2024 under this government has been far more significant, moving from 128.7% to 71.8% as at the end of the fiscal year ended March 31, 2024. This amounts to a reduction of 56.9 percentage points over the period, or 7.1 percentage points reduction per year on average. And this happened in the face of extreme global health and natural disaster shocks.
Debt to GDP, Minister Williams explained, measures a country's debt as a percentage of its gross domestic product and serves as a key indicator of economic stability. She says it's regrettable that the fundamental point conveyed by the Prime Minister regarding the debt-to-GDP ratio being reduced across political administrations was overlooked by the opposition spokesperson on finance. Williams outlined the chronology of the debt figures, noting the PNP administration's role in reducing the debt to GDP does not match the current administration's achievement. She also pointed to other significant gains by the current administration, such as no net new taxes, cuts to income tax, general consumption tax (GCT), property transfer taxes, and tax relief for pensioners and small businesses.
Contrast this with only a 16.6 percentage point reduction achieved by the PNP government during 2013 to 2016, despite there being no significant external shocks to the economy. And that's the contrast that we want to highlight.
Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News. Meanwhile, Nationwide News dug deeper to assess the figures presented by the Minister of Finance and the opposition spokesman. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
Addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness suggested that the country's debt-to-GDP ratio was 145% when he took office. However, in a response the following day, Mr. Robinson sought to correct him, noting that when the PNP left office in early 2016, the country's debt was 115% of GDP. Mr. Robinson is relying on the International Monetary Fund's data available on its website, which shows debt ending in 2016 at 113.7% of GDP. The same information suggests Jamaica's debt was more than 120% of GDP at the end of 2015. However, in a quick response, the new Minister of Finance, Favour Williams, says Mr. Robinson's assessment is inaccurate. She points to the conclusion of the IMF's Article 4 consultations, which shows that the debt-to-GDP ratio at the end of March 2016, when the PNP left office, was 128.7%. This suggests an inconsistency in the figures presented by the multilateral. It should be noted that fiscal projections and estimations tend to change as more information becomes available. However, the question remains, who is correct? To answer the question, Nationwide News turned to the government's fiscal policy papers and assessments done by the Auditor General. The country's interim fiscal policy paper for March 2016 shows debt to GDP declining from 145% in March 2013 to 120% as at March 2016. The paper states clearly that the debt-to-GDP data referenced reflects the actual data for GDP growth at the end of March 2016. This is nearly 9 percentage points less than what was assessed by the IMF at the time. It's also 5 points more than what's currently listed on the IMF's website for the period. An assessment a year later by the Auditor General paints a clearer picture. It shows the debt-to-GDP ratio at the end of the fiscal year of 2015-2016 at 122%. A fiscal year for the assessment of government books begins in April and ends in March. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Jamaica Labour Party is rejecting concerns raised by the PNP about Marissa Dalrymple Philibert's expected candidacy in the upcoming by-election in South Trelawney as another clear act of barefaced hypocrisy, which it says has characterized the Mark Golding-led party. The PNP had expressed concern about Mrs. Dalrymple's candidacy, given that she's before the court for failing to declare ownership of a Mercedes-Benz to the Integrity Commission. Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert has denied intentionally not making the declaration and noted that she rarely used the vehicle in question. Norgay Banton reports.
In pushing back against the PNP, JLP Deputy General Secretary Charles Sinclair says the JLP believes in presumption of innocence, which is a fundamental underpinning of Jamaica's legal system. Senator Sinclair says the party is careful about its selection of candidates, in particular those who may have matters which are before the court. However, Mr. Sinclair says the extenuating circumstance of Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert, indicating that she genuinely forgot to include in her declarations a vehicle which she did not use regularly, along with the overwhelming demand in the constituency for her, were taken into consideration in the decision to select her as the party's candidate. Mr. Sinclair is calling out the PNP for what he describes as brazen and barefaced hypocrisy in their expression of concern about Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert's expected candidacy. He notes that the PNP has failed to act and disrupt the status quo regarding several of their big wigs who have had issues with law enforcement and the court.
Hypocrisy for the PNP has amongst its ranks as a potential candidate Ian Hales, who has been recommended by an anti-corruption agency for criminal investigation. Michael Phillips, who is to be charged for breaching of the Integrity Commission Act. Dwayne Vaz, who was charged and convicted for breaching the Integrity Commission Act. Philip Paulwell, Member of Parliament, who was convicted for breaches of the Firearms Act. And worst of all, Isaac Buchanan, who has 2 convictions against him for narcotics trafficking in cocaine.
Mr. Sinclair says the PNP's hypocrisy in questioning Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert's expected candidacy is further highlighted by other incidents.
History also reminds us that Councillor Chu, who was serving as Deputy Mayor, and former Councillor Sylvan Reid were arrested and charged for illegal possession of firearm and breach of the scamming law, respectively, but were allowed to continue to serve in their respective capacities under the principle of innocent until proven guilty. The same principle which Marissa Dalrymple Philibert is clothed with in relation to an offence which has more administrative ramifications than anything else, one which she has stated was a genuine oversight. It is clear the statement by the PNP is another attempt to deflect and to hoodwink the Jamaican populace and must be rejected as baseless and hypocritical.
The JLP Deputy General Secretary says the party also takes careful note of commentary made by National Integrity Action in the print media about Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert. Sinclair says the NIA was, for the most part, silent on the aforementioned issues concerning the PNP, including the recent matter of Michael Phillips' status as MP and his chairmanship of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, despite the decision of the Integrity Commission to lay a criminal charge on Phillips. Norgay Banton for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert is asserting that she has not committed any criminal wrongdoing despite being before the court. She was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Thursday.
The report that came to Parliament recommended criminal charges because I omitted to put a car on my statutory declaration. And I feel very strongly, and I wonder, how does the omission of my putting that car on the thing make me a criminal? I forgot for reasons. That is simply what it is. There was no motive. I had done nothing wrong. I had not stolen any money. From the day I entered the political arena, I have not purchased one item that I did not own 30-odd years ago, 20-odd years ago before I entered this arena.
Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert says she's returning to the political arena with a clear conscience.
My conscience is clear. My integrity is very important, and I feel committed. And that is why I resigned at the time. And I am before the court. And the courts will make a decision. If the decision were to go against me, there are options in the court system. And I would sit down and decide which of the options. This country knows that there are several options. There are several tiers in the court system. And I am committed to the fact that I did not do anything criminally wrong.
Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, former South Trelawney MP.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
5:15.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is...
It's 32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
Life is precious. Whether you're driving through the hills in the country, the town, or on the highway, remember, slow down and take it easy. Your family and friends are depending on you to get home safe. Speeding may save you minutes, but careful driving saves lives. Since the beginning of this year, 288 people have been killed in 247 crashes, so drive safe.
Brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
With Jamaica Automobile Association, membership is a win-win. Enter the JAA Fuel Up promotion and you could win the grand prize of JAA Gold membership for 1 year plus fuel valued at $240,000. Just purchase, renew or upgrade your JAA membership or use your individual JAA advance card to buy at least $10,000 of fuel a month. So, fuel up! There's also monthly prices of $20,000 in fuel. Enter now. JAA Fuel Up promotion ends December 13, 2024. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, Director of Elections Glaspole Brown says preparations are well underway for the upcoming by-election slated for November 22. He provided the update with our news center on Thursday.
We have started our preparation. Certainly we are on track for nomination day, which is next week, Wednesday, and everything is in place for nomination day. Coming out of nomination day, we'll begin another phase of our preparation for the election on the 22nd.
There are 2 parliamentary by-elections and 2 local municipal elections. The constituency by-elections follow the resignations of Dr. Nigel Clark as Member of Parliament for North West St. Andrew and Marissa Dalrymple Philibert for South Trelawney. Meanwhile, 2 municipal divisions became vacant following the passing of PNP Councillor Rowan Bryan in Morant Bay, St. Thomas, and JLP Councillor Marjorie McLeod McFarlane in Ainantown, Clarendon. Mr. Brown says the EOJ is still finalizing its budget to send to the Finance Ministry, but he's estimating that the combined elections will cost approximately $84 million.
We are finalizing the budget now. We'll be completing that work by this afternoon. In terms of using the budget that was used in the Centre and North East election for the constituency parliamentary elections, we're looking at an average about 30 million each. In terms of the parish council divisions, municipality divisions, we're looking at an average of $12 to $13 million each.
Glaspole Brown, Director of Elections.
A prisoner who escaped from the dock at Supreme Court in downtown Kingston on Thursday has been sentenced to 18 years in prison in his absence. The fugitive, identified as 22-year-old Anthony Williams, remains at large. Williams had been brought to the gun court for sentencing after his recent conviction for illegal possession of a firearm and assault at common law. According to reports, Williams was placed in the dock by the police and his handcuffs removed as part of standard procedure. During the proceedings, he managed to flee custody within seconds. It's alleged that he jumped from a section of the Supreme Court building onto Tower Street and escaped in the downtown Kingston crowd. A police manhunt has since been launched. Williams' attorney, Kimberly Whitaker, is urging him to surrender.
I did represent Mr. Williams, and I'm asking that he kindly submit himself to the custody of the police forthwith. It is in his best interest to do so.
Kimberly Whitaker, attorney at law. Before his escape, Williams was already serving a 12-year sentence for illegal possession of a firearm and a 14-year sentence for wounding with intent.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The Cayman Islands government is on the brink of collapse after 3 cabinet ministers and a parliamentary secretary quit. Ministers Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes and Sabrina Turner, Parliamentary Secretary Heather Boden, and Deputy Premier Andre Ebanks have all resigned from the United People's Movement (UPM) with immediate effect. The resignations raise the prospect of an early general election, with Ebanks suggesting the people should now decide the way forward. The 4 criticized a lack of parity between ministers, who they say are not afforded the same level of transparency and involvement to make informed decisions in the best interest of the people.
More than 60 million people have cast early votes in the U.S. election. This is according to the University of Florida's election lab. This beats the early voter turnout record set in the 2020 election, when around 158 million people voted in total. Many U.S. states have been taking part in the early voting, including in key battleground states where Trump and Harris have focused their campaigns in recent days.
An extensive search is underway in Spain for missing bodies following monstrous flash floods in the country, which claimed at least 158 lives. The weather event is the worst flooding disaster in living memory as rescuers battle odds to find the survivors. On Thursday, more than 1,200 workers, aided by drones, were deployed to carry out rescue missions as rains continue to threaten parts of the country. Crews searched for bodies in stranded cars and sodden buildings as residents salvaged what they could from their ruined homes. It's reported that 155 bodies were recovered in Valencia alone.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, newly appointed Minister of Finance Favour Williams says the PNP's Julian Robinson's claim regarding debt-to-GDP ratio in 2016 is incorrect.
Barefaced hypocrisy.
That's how the JLP has responded to the PNP's concern about Marissa Dalrymple Philibert's candidacy for the by-election in South Trelawney.
And Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert says she's not committed any criminal wrongdoing despite being brought before the courts by the Integrity Commission.
Prisoner who escaped from the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston today, sentenced to 18 years in prison in his absence. I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Popcorn Chicken, now available in barbecue. Do whatever the crunch you want with KFC's Popcorn Chicken. KFC, it's finger licking good.
It's the Answers Big 50% off store-wide sale. Get 50% off from Answers Gifts and Home Center and Answers for Children. Get 50% off in every store from now until Saturday, November 2. Answers Big 50% off store-wide sale.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Drop, cover, hold on.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Hi-Lo gives you a Merry Christmas. Hi-Lo gives you a Merry Christmas. Hi-Lo gives you a Merry Christmas with 40 days of giveaway.
Win a grand prize of a trip for 2 to Punta Cana and get great daily prizes in the Hi-Lo 40 Days of Christmas promotion. To enter, shop at Hi-Lo, purchase any 6 Hi-Lo branded products and spend a minimum of $10,000. Then write your name, number, and address on the receipt and place in a drop box provided for a chance to win in the Hi-Lo 40 Days of Christmas promotion. Promotion ends December 31st.
Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Rain has interrupted the first one-day international between West Indies and England at the Sir Vivian Richard Ground in Antigua. England was sent to bat. They were bowled out for 209 in 45 overs and 1 ball as Gudakesh Moti returned figures of 4 for 41. He got good support from Matthew Ford, 2 for 48, Jaden Seals, 2 for 22, and Alzare Joseph, 2 for 46. Skipper Liam Livingstone was the leading England batter. He got 48. Sam Curran weighed in with 37. And yes, Jacob Bethnell, he made 27. The West Indies are yet to start their reply in this day-night fixture. Guyana Harpy Eagles and combined campuses and colleges CG United Super 50 match ended in a no result today due to rain at the Sir Frank Royal Memorial Ground in Trinidad and Tobago. After the overs were reduced to 45 aside due to the weather, CCC batted first and they made 271 for 7. Canadian-born Matthew Nandu led the batting. He got 116 from 103 balls, which included 7 fours and 5 sixes. Captain Tevin Imlak waiting with 51 and Kemal Savoy, he made 50 not out. Mikhail Govia took 4 wickets and Abhijay Mansingh the Jamaican 2. In response, the Eagles reached 32 for 1 after 6 overs and 5 balls when rain stopped play. The Jamaica Scorpions will be back in action on Saturday. They'll take on the West Indies Academy at the Brian Lara Stadium. Former champions Arnett Gardens will battle Chapelton Maroons in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League rescheduled game at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex this evening, and it's set to kick off at 6. Arnett is 6th in the standings with 8 points and will be looking for only their 3rd victory of the season. Chapelton Maroons in 10th with 7 points, and they too are gunning for their 3rd victory of the campaign. Yesterday, Dunby Holden FC defeated Mount Pleasant Academy by 3-2 in another rescheduled game to move off the foot of the table. They are now up to 11th. Sprint legend, the iconic Usain Bolt, has listed Justin Gatlin as the only non-Jamaican who would make a 4x100 meters relay dream team for him. Bolt has 2 Olympic and 5 World Championship relay gold medals. He retired and he has helped Jamaica to 3 sprint relay world records, with the current record being 36.84 seconds, ran on a very cold night in London in 2012 at the Olympic Games. And Bolt says he would place Gatlin on the 2nd leg of the relay team.
I think he would be the only person outside. I think it would definitely be a Safa to start, then Justin and Johan Blake and me at anchor. So those would be the 4 persons I think would be in my...
I think you might win gold with that lineup.
Easy.
As Usain Bolt, yeah? What do you think about that 4, though? It means Michael Frater and Nestor Carter, who have been members of all those brilliant Jamaican sprint relay teams, would have no place. A Safa on lead-off, Justin will run, what he said, the 2nd leg? A Safa would run the 2nd leg, Justin up in 3rd, where Johan would run, and then Usain on anchor. Not a bad team, but I think I prefer the Jamaica 4 than the Carter to Frater to Bolt. To Powell or Blake there and then Bolt. But I wouldn't replace any one of those Jamaicans at all. None at all. Now, the Paris 2024 Olympic champion, Julian Alfred of St. Lucia, took home the Association of National Olympic Committee ANOC Award for Best Female Athlete over the Paris Olympic Games. Now, the ceremony was held in Portugal yesterday. Alfred stormed to a historic 100 meters gold medal in the French capital, which is the first in Olympic history for her small nation. Now, she also bagged silver in the 200 meters. The 23-year-old says she took motivation from finishing outside the medals at the 2023 World Championships in Budapest.
Previous year, after a long collegiate season, placing 4th and 5th in the final. Coming into this year, I know I had the ability with less races in my legs. Also sticking with my collegiate coach, Edric Floriel, and working toward a specific goal, which was the 100 and the 200. But most importantly, just coming out here and making the sacrifices to get a medal for my country, for myself, for my team.
Julian Alfred, she actually cleaned up this year, because she won the 60 meters indoors in Glasgow in March. And she also won the Diamond League 100 and the Olympic 100. She cleaned up, really. Letsile Tebogo of Botswana won the male award, yeah? And that will do it for sports.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my 1JN Passport app. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The temperature by the 1JN Passport app is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. Hurricanes can happen, so be prepared.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Highway 2000 East West. Vehicles using the automated T-Tag lane are processed in seconds, so you can pass through the toll plazas far quicker. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. The discount on T-Tag packages has been extended. Get yours for only $1,500, including a $500 toll credit from now until October 31st.
The National Land Agency, NLA, is advising that effective October 1, 2024, the Land Administration and Management Division, LAMD, attorneys certified by LAMD and the Geoland will be authorized to submit land applications to the NLA under the Registration of Titles, Cadastral Mapping and the Tenure Classification Special Provisions Act for all 14 parishes of Jamaica. The LAMPA 2 contract between the National Land Agency and the Geoland Title Limited ended on September 30, 2024. For further information, contact the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or through a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposit we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
It's the Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Join nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. for this Town Hall meeting, or visit the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, 77 to 79 Constant Spring Road for all the details. So don't miss nationwide at 5 on Thursday, October 31 from 6 to 8 p.m. It's Bringing the Budget to the People Town Hall meeting. Catch nationwide at 5 at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, working better to serve you.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice.
tackling topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, and rights issues that affect you. Let's Talk Justice every Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Call in, share your thoughts, be empowered, know your rights, and let's talk justice, ensuring access to justice for all, courtesy of Jamaicans for Justice. It's a showdown of the shows. 6 shows, 1 winner. Who will it be? Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. from Monday, November 4 to Monday, November 11 for the NNN Quiz Competition. Get ready for the ultimate test of knowledge in our thrilling NNN Quiz Competition. Friendships have been transformed into rivalries as our shows compete in the ultimate showdown. With each correct answer, the excitement builds, and with each incorrect one, opportunities are lost. The stakes are high, and the listeners will be on the edge of their seats. The NNN Quiz is back. Tune in between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. during Cliffviews Online from Monday, November 4 to Monday, November 11 for the NNN Quiz Competition. Who will emerge victorious on this edition of the NNN Quiz Competition? Find out only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. The NNN Quiz is brought to you by the Student Center, the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment Jade Limited, Wellington Dental, Mark's Superstore, New Pack, Hydrate Water, Mats Unlimited, and JTA Credit Union.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers, and welcome to the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis.
Well, we are coming to you live from the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School, where a little later the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation will be hosting a town hall meeting where they'll be bringing their budget to the people. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the politics, where the Jamaica Labour Party is rejecting concerns raised by the PNP about Marissa Dalrymple Philbert's expected candidacy in the upcoming by-election in South Trelawney, as another clear act of what they call barefaced hypocrisy, which it says has characterized the Mark Golding-led party.
And the PNP had expressed concerns about Mrs. Dalrymple's candidacy, given that she is before the court for failing to declare ownership of a Mercedes-Benz to the Integrity Commission. Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert has denied intentionally not making the declaration and noted that she rarely used the vehicle in question. The PNP says the move by the JLP is highly contemptuous of Jamaica's judicial system, given that Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert has 8 outstanding criminal charges against her.
Well, the opposition party says it also signals what it describes as a disturbing disregard for accountability. But the JLP's Deputy General Secretary, Senator Charles Sinclair, says the JLP believes in the presumption of innocence, which is a fundamental underpinning of Jamaica's legal system. He's also calling out the PNP for what he describes as a brazen and barefaced hypocrisy in their expression of concern about Mrs. Dalrymple Philbert's expected candidacy.
And in the meantime, the former South Trelawney MP says her conscience is clear as she makes her return to run on the JLP's ticket in the constituency. Speaking on Cliffviews Online on Thursday morning, Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert says her return was motivated by an overwhelming call from the people of South Trelawney. Well, joining us to discuss further, we have with us the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and Deputy General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, Senator Charles Sinclair. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening to your listeners.
Wonderful. Let me start with you, Senator Sinclair. Given the gravity of the situation with Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert, and initially she saw the need to resign, what would have changed now?
All right. Well, to be honest with you, and this is my opinion, when the matter first arose and I looked at what the circumstances were, for myself, I did not see it as one for which Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert should have resigned. Persons have indicated that they have a similar opinion, that they believe that she may have acted in haste at the time. Now, in looking at what the charges that she has before the court, really it's an act of omission, where she has indicated that it was a genuine mistake on her part, an oversight, and in any criminal charge, there is a need to establish the mens rea. And so with Mrs. Philibert saying that, I, for myself, see difficulties in then establishing the charge. The way that it has come out in the public, and in fact, in your commentary before I was invited to make my comment, when you refer to it as a criminal charge, where, the average layman hearing the word criminal may believe that there is some a criminal charge in the normal way that we speak about criminal charges. May have a believe with a particular view. I refer to it in my comments as something more administrative, where we are required as parliamentarians to give to the best of our belief our assets, declare our assets to the best of our belief. And sometimes in filling out the forms, a person may, and I'm certain that there are many who have, amongst the civil servants, amongst the parliamentarians, may have oversighted something. And that implies giving her expense. And when I say many, if you go back in the history of statutory declarations, I came across a report where there were several MPs, including a current MP, Anthony Hilton, who had a similar situation in 2010, 2011, where he said there were some errors on his part. Right? So it is not something that is new. Mrs. Dalrymple has indicated the position, and she has clearly stated that she has done nothing wrong. She has not misused, misappropriated public funds. And the people of South Trelawney have come out and made their voices heard to say that they wish to have her back as their member of parliament for the good representation that she has given to them over, 4 election cycles going back to 2002.
But Mr. Sinclair, we still accept, though, that in the eyes of the law, it is still a criminal charge, correct?
And I've said that it is so described because this person's going before any offense that carries a sanction is a criminal offense, and persons will stand in the dock where persons who are charged for criminal offenses stand. But this charge is not even one that you take fingerprints for.
Understood.
And so
I just wanted to accept.
So we have persons who are charged for traffic offenses, for example. They stand in the criminal dock, but it's not, and it is technically a criminal offense.
Understood, Mr. Sinclair. But
let me bring Dr. Campbell in the conversation, because Dr. Campbell, the opposition party says it signals what it describes as a disturbing disregard of accountability, and the JLP is saying now that there's hypocrisy from the side of the People's National Party, naming a number of individuals who have also been charged from your party. How do you respond to that?
I don't believe we have Dr. Campbell back yet. I think we're still trying to get him. So before then, we're still, Mr. Sinclair, though, while
Yes,
this matter is still in front of the courts, I understand that you don't think it rises to the kind of criminal charge which you would say has the same level of intensity as some others, but it is still before the courts. Isn't it still presumptuous to essentially bring her back as a candidate, as a potential candidate now, before that matter has been settled?
No, I personally don't see that way. And one can I rely when I look at it and I express my opinion that persons are innocent, clothed in innocence until proven guilty. That is a principle on which our system of justice is based. And if I were to take it into the realm of the PNP, where Michael True, as deputy mayor of Montego Bay, and I'm going to point out a distinction there, as deputy mayor of Montego Bay, was charged for illegal possession of firearm, a very serious offense, one for which you can go to prison for life at the time, now 15 years minimum. And he was not even removed as deputy mayor by the PNP. And when you look
except though, Senator Sinclair, it doesn't necessarily make it right.
Give me a second, I didn't say as councillor, because at that time, the person who sat as mayor and deputy mayor under the Parish Councils Act that existed at that time, that person was appointed by the minister. So the minister can say who becomes the mayor, not the chairman of the council, the mayor of a particular local or the deputy mayor. The PNP did nothing. The PNP said he was innocent until proven guilty, and so he will remain as deputy mayor.
We're up on the break, Senator Sinclair. The point that I'm trying to make, though, it doesn't necessarily make it right that the PNP did something which, in your estimation, is of a higher gravity. But we're going to come back from the break, and I wanted to respond to the point about the Westminster system.
I said on a point of principle, innocent until proven guilty.
Up on the break, gentlemen.
Let's take the break and come back, though.
That's because the PNP did it.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs. From luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica and the Concert Chorale of Harlem present Éclat Opéra, a breathtaking evening of arias, classics, spirituals, and jazz at the Little Theatre. 2 shows, November 16 and 17. Tickets at Monarch Pharmacy, Sovereign and Barbican, Fontana, Waterloo, Music Mart, and online at Eventbrite. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica and the Concert Chorale of Harlem in concert, November 16 and 17 at the Little Theatre. Main sponsors, the Jamaica Tourist Board and the Chase Fund. Details available on Facebook and the press.
With Jamaica Automobile Association, membership is a win-win. Enter the JAA Fuel Up promotion and you could win the grand prize of JAA Gold membership for 1 year plus fuel valued at $240,000. Just purchase, renew or upgrade your JAA membership or use your individual JAA advance card to buy at least $10,000 of fuel a month. So, fuel up! There's also monthly prices of $20,000 in fuel. Enter now. JAA Fuel Up promotion ends December 13, 2024. Conditions apply.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story where we're still talking on this matter of Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, who is set to be brought back as the JLP's prospective candidate for the South Trelawney by-election to be held, I believe, next month. We have with us the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and the Deputy General Secretary for the Jamaica Labour Party, Senator Charles Sinclair. Before we go, I understand, Dr. Campbell, you're with us again?
Yes, I am.
So, Dr. Campbell, I see where you're suggesting that the JLP have breached essentially some code of conduct by bringing back Ms. Dalrymple Filbert while she has this matter in front of the court. But when you compare that, though, have you not essentially run somebody with criminal antecedents essentially in the East Portland seat that is Isat Buchanan, who has a criminal conviction? Do you think that compares favorably?
The Prime Minister was asked about this matter, and he said that Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert made an honorable decision to step back when the charges were made against her. There has been no resolution of said charges, and yet there is a renaming of the individual that resigned in an honorable way, and they're now returning without a resolution of the matter. This comes at an expense to the country. It comes at an expense of $30 million to hold a by-election for an individual to resign. The issue that caused them to resign is not resolved, and we are now expending $30 million to bring back that same individual into the position that they were before. The notion that because 15 or 20 people protested for her is nonsensical, because 4,000 voted for her when she resigned. So how is it that she ignored the wishes of 4,000, but she's willing to come back because of the wishes of 20 people protesting? This was obviously an organized protest. What is taking place here is maladministration and a toying with the democratic process within the country and political gamesmanship. If it is that Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert felt it was the honorable thing to do to resign, then she should at least wait until there's a resolution of the matter before she returns.
Well, why not leave it with the people, Dr. Campbell, for the people to make that decision?
Are you not understanding the point that I just made?
I heard your point, and I'm saying, no, I heard your point, Dr. Campbell.
The people did not resign her. She resigned.
But the point is, Dr. Campbell, understanding everything that you just indicated, why not leave it to the people, for the people to make the decision that they will reject Marisa Dalrymple Filbert, considering that the matter is still before the court?
The people did not ask Ms. Filbert to resign. Ms. Filbert resigned, and the Prime Minister said it was the honorable thing to do. We didn't ask her to resign either. The opposition did not call on her to resign from the Parliament. The opposition called on her to resign as the Speaker of the House. We didn't call on her to resign as Member of Parliament. She resigned as Member of Parliament. She is now causing the country to spend $30 million to put her back in a position that she was before. Anybody who does not have a problem with that is a part of the problem in Jamaica.
But Dr. Campbell, I see you still avoided my question. What about the moral comparison between Marisa Dalrymple Filbert and Isat Buchanan?
Isat Buchanan has spent his time, has paid for his crime, and there is something in Jamaica that is called reformation of individuals. We believe that individuals going through the system is supposed to be able to benefit from being reformed. I have said that Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert should wait to a resolution of the matter. I never said that she has no future in politics. I am saying if she stepped aside because that was the honorable thing to do, I cannot see on what basis she would be returning before the matter is resolved at an expense of $30 million to the taxpayers of Jamaica, when people can't afford to buy food.
So your actual concern is not... Oh, go ahead, Mr. Sinclair.
I just want to quickly respond to something that Dayton just said. Because he talked that the PNP believes in reformation and rehabilitation of persons. You know that it was the same Mark Golding. And in fact, Dayton would have been there too as Member of Parliament. That they amended the Criminal Record Rehabilitation of Offenders Act in 2014 to prevent persons who would have even gotten spent convictions in certain offenses to expunge their record. Dayton was a part of that. Mark Golding was a part of that. Peter Bunting was a part of that. And he's now coming on here to talk about rehabilitation and reformation.
Yes, I am coming on.
I thought Buchanan is charged and convicted for enough things for which he cannot expunge his record because...
Hold on, Dr. Campbell. Just let Senator Sinclair finish and then we'll take you.
Unexpungible in 2014 by creating a Schedule 3 that if you are convicted for trafficking in cocaine, you cannot expunge your record. And I believe it also affected a lady who worked with Nationwide.
Let's hear
Dr.
Dr.
So I'm not talking about reformation and rehabilitation. They don't believe in it.
Let's hear Dr. Campbell.
Second chances.
Reformation and rehabilitation is something that we believe in. I am saying, I am not going to have that conversation with you today. I will have that at another time. The conversation we're having today is how it is that the country is being called upon to spend $30 million to hold a by-election for an individual who removed themselves from Parliament, saying it's the honorable thing to do, and there's no resolution of that matter. No matter how you try to get around that, that's the point that I'm making, and I'm going to make it.
Dayton, yes, sir. And I believe the PNP, when the election was in Northeast Centre, so what about South Trelawney? Where's the representative for South Trelawney?
No, man, no. Because the JLP has its waning fortunes and your Prime Minister is on a downward spiral. We are not going to be participating in your political games to try and regain some momentum for your party. The Prime Minister says he calls his election when he thinks he can win. South Trelawney has been without a member of Parliament for over a year. Don't come here and make it sound as if you are defending the democratic process. That's hypocrisy. Rank hypocrisy.
That's a point, Senator Sinclair. How do you respond to that?
No, in respect to the timing.
Yes.
It is the Prime Minister, but that's the Constitution by which we have. That's the Constitution that we have.
But is it that you're really protecting the democratic process? Or is it, as Dr. Campbell indicated, it's all about politics?
I would not describe it as being all about politics. It is a constitution that we recognize that the PNP has always spoken about. And the Prime Minister, under the constitution that we have in Jamaica at this moment, indicates that it is the Prime Minister who, at a point determined by him, will call a general election or by-election in this case.
Mr. Sinclair, I have to ask you though, considering the timing, as Sanjay pointed out, why was the matter regarding the divisional by-elections not dealt with before?
Well, I mean, there were certain the divisional by-elections
that were due.
I think they were the two by-elections that are being called for the divisions, Clarendon and St. Thomas.
Yes, I know they're called now, but why were they not dealt with before the matter of the South Trelawney seat?
I think in relation to those by-elections, when an extension was spoken about in Parliament, the reasons were made clear. We had very lot would have intervened at a particular period in time, which fell within that period.
And Dr. Campbell, as it relates to the upcoming by-election in Trelawney, will the People's National Party be contesting that election?
No, man, I think we have made our position clear, We are within the final year of this administration. We've already gone 2 months between announcement and election days, at least 21 days. So we are at most 9 months away from an election. We believe that the government should call the general election. The amendments that were made to the Local Government Act in 2016 states that there should be no by-election in local government the year of the election. That's why when you had the passing of the councillor from Thierry and elsewhere, we did not have a by-election between 2019 and 2020. The same thing should obtain in relation to the general elections. to call upon the country to be spending $80 million at a time when cost of living is so high and people are finding it hard to feed themselves for transportation and just for daily sustenance. We don't think that is the best way to spend the resources of the country. In relation to the two divisions, the last general local government election was February of this year, and it doesn't become due again until 2028 February. So the by-elections in those divisions, it's understandable, and we will be contesting those. But we will not be contesting the by-elections for the parliamentary seats within the final year of the administration when the general election is due. Tell the Prime Minister to go ahead and call the general election. If the Labour Party is of the opinion that we are afraid to contest, tell them to go ahead and call the general election.
And let me ask you, Dr. Campbell, if anyone in your party is charged for whatever thing and there's a general election that is impending, can you categorically state that that person will not represent the PNP in any constituency?
If there's an individual that is
criminally charged and it's before the court.
Our system, the way we do our selection of candidates, there is a part within our selection process where we check to see. I wrote to the Commissioner of Police, giving them the list of the names of our candidates to ask them if they have any interest in any member that we are putting forward. So we clear that hurdle before we put forward candidates. Our NEC voted at the last NEC that we had up in Alien Town in Clarendon that any member that would have gone outside of the ambit of the law and would have been reluctant in coming forward to say that they're being investigated for anything. If that were to happen, then those members would not be able to go forward for the party. Our stance on this matter is very clear. We would not have somebody that is referred to THA and FIP and somebody who has the Integrity Commission in court trying to strike down the law and leading our party. We would not have that.
Where does that leave Ian Hales?
Anti-corruption, Ian Hales was flagged by an anti-corruption body for criminal investigations by the police.
And that's precisely what I wanted to ask you, Dr. Campbell.
Conclusion of that.
Where does that leave Mr. Hales?
Pardon me?
Where does that leave Mr. Hales? Has his matter been cleared?
Where does that leave who?
Mr. Hales. Ian Hales, your candidate. Your caretaker, I should say.
Ian Hales' matter was referred for further investigation by who?
It was referred by the Contractor General to the police for further investigation. Are you aware as to whether the police had settled that matter or chose not to investigate?
The last that I know of that matter is that there was no evidence of any wrongdoing by Ian Hales.
I wonder if we got confirmation from the Commissioner of Police in that regard.
Precisely.
I wonder if you have anything to the contrary.
No, but Dr. Campbell, but you just said it. You said it.
That's the last information I have. And
did you get confirmation from the Commissioner of Police, as you indicated, is the process of the People's National Party?
The last information that I have is that there is no matter there against Ian Hales. Right? And I noticed your tit for tat in trying to go away from the issues that are confronting us. That we have a Prime Minister who's trying to try
Dr. Campbell?
of the law that defines illicit enrichment.
Dr. Campbell, we are out of time. Gentlemen,
I noticed that
we are very much out of time. We're well over time, not out of time. We're out of time. Dr. Dayton Campbell, General Secretary for the People's National Party, and Deputy General Secretary for the Jamaica Labour Party, Senator Charles Sinclair. Thank you both for joining us.
Welcome.
The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night.
Driver, take time with me and let me out. Lady, relax yourself. Me a drive from me a youth. Me know what me a do.
Hey, one stop in a driver. You know make me not live to see the rest of the day.
Driver, I know you want your drive fine now. Take time, man.
You have to drive better, man. And not just for me life. You might take all our life too. So me I beg you take time, man.
And you know the right thing, driver. See how much people dead on the road? Plus members say police out there them new technology device for catch people who are drive fast. By the way, I hope you don't have no ticket, Cause remember we have a new law. Why not just do the right thing and make we live good?
You know, sir, true not talk me passengers. Me have a youth who me want to live to see him grow. Look here, no man, easy on yourself. Me can take corrections. As for the new traffic ticket business, me no want no police give me no more traffic ticket. Me I go do the right thing so we can all live good. Respect.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Back, listeners and viewers, we'll not be taking the headlines. Actually, we'll be going straight to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation's town hall meeting today. They're going to be bringing the budgets of the people. We're at the Karam Speed Auditorium in Merle Grove High School, and I've actually been joined by the mayor of Kingston himself, Andrew Swaby, and he is also the council for the Vineyard Town Division. How are you doing, Mayor Swaby? I'm doing quite well. So, before we get into the questions, Mayor Swaby, you've had a few months now to settle into the robes. How have you been doing?
I think I've been going good so far. It's a job, it's a tough job. It's where the rubber hits the road. But overall, I've been a councillor for 26 years. I was once a deputy mayor, and I'm working with a team, and the team is one team because I'm speaking of JLP and PMP, and the staff has been very supportive. So I'm comfortable. A lot more is on the road, out of the road, but.
Well, we are here today to essentially fulfill a promise that you had made at the outset of taking up office, this matter of making the budget more open and transparent. So, explain to us, why are we here today for this town hall meeting?
Well, just let me clarify. It's more than me giving a promise. It is mandatory that all local authority discuss their budget with the people. The last one was done incidentally in 2014 when I was chairman of finance. So what we are doing today, as I said, I've indicated that I will be open and transparent. And what I'm doing is to take the budget to the person. We'll be discussing the 2024-25 budget. You will understand that I've inherited this budget. And it's done cast already. But we're using that as the base. What we are doing now is for future budget. And if the truth to be told, we are far in advance in the 25-26 budget, but there can be some changes now and for even 26-27 budget. So it's more, I promise the residents of Kingston that what we will do will come a little bit earlier, but you'll understand the fact that I am new in the position, you had to settle down and get things done.
Okay, so the information that we are expected to be released later today I should say rather, do you expect the people to be receptive of it, and how can they essentially now take that information and craft their own responses and maybe feedback to what is presented?
Well, one of the feedback that we want to make sure to tell persons what is our funding like, the three main areas that we get funding from. We want to make sure to person what we can spend on. For example, you have the parochial revenue fund that is road related. We also want to tell them of our limitations, and we want at the same time to make sure that our own source revenue speak about the issue of compliance, because that is what we use to get to the persons. There's one interesting thing that people believe that, and I understand because I've campaigned on the whole issue of garbage. But there are two things to it. One, the funds from the garbage, from the solid waste, the property tax that you pay, goes straight to National Solid Waste Management Authority, and likewise JPS. So that gives a problem with the whole oversight. They don't have to see ourselves themselves as working with us, even though I must say we have a good working relationship. But as I move to the Cleaner Kingston situation, you can have all the trucks you want. As citizens, we have to develop a little bit more in our civic pride.
Yes.
We can't be where we're throwing garbage. Just today, I was in the Papine area, going to the business spaces, checking on how they have disposed their garbage. Because the National Solid Waste Management Authority is primarily for domestic garbage. That means the ones that are in your homes. And so we're saying to her, show us the contract that you have with a private entity. Show us the receipt that the person actually carried to the dump. That is some of the things. So people criticize a lot and talk about it, but we also cannot just beat up on the politicians or the entity that's supposed to deal with. We also have to talk that we have a civic pride to keep our place clean.
Yes, and on the matter of the budget, I noticed there was emphasis placed on the fact that it's bipartisan, and you are in a very difficult position. You lead a council that is essentially split down the middle. So I would like to know what has been the essential input from both sides, and can we say that has been culminated in how this budget has been presented?
Well, let me just be clear with you. It's a bipartisan approach where members of the JLP and the PMP planned this one. At our civics committee, the ranking member Tasha Schwab and Eugene Kelly, they are the lead person on this one. You will hear from Vernon McCow, the past chairman of finance, now the ranking member, and he will speak to the whole issue of bipartisan. I have cultivating where hardly any meeting that I'm in and the JLP is not there. I've made the point of duty that we should be bipartisan, and I would have been if it was 2020, but I think it's by divine intervention that the Lord is saying something to us, that in order to serve the citizens of Kingston St. Andrew, we need to come as one.
Yes, and it's important to know we always have the cut and thrust in politics which put the two sides against each other, but sometimes when it comes down to it, we have to work together for the betterment of the city and the country. So I have to ask you, Mayor, you've now had a few months in the position. What is your focus now going forward?
You know what I've reported on the first 100 days. The subsequent 100 days, I'm deliberately looking at what we have in terms of our staff, and to make sure that they can help us to take where we want to go. And I will say this to you up front, that we have made arrangements with EXED to come in, and they are at EXED Monday to Friday. They are not EXED, in our council chamber, Monday to Friday, having classes. And at the end of 2 years, these persons will have their associate degree. So I'm working on that. I'm working on the whole issue of bringing more transparency to the whole building approval process. And I don't know if you have seen where we have talked about objection process and make it more simple, that persons know what to do. And we want to concentrate on roads, especially our community roads, because they tend to be left behind. And of course, my pet peeve, making sure that the National Solid Waste Management Authority take up the garbage when they ought to, but at the same time bring some public awareness to the citizens that they have to dispose of the garbage in a correct way.
And I know that matter of keeping the city clean was one of your strong points when you entered into the mayorship. How has that been going so far? Have you made any headway in keeping to that promise?
Well, in answering the question, I want to make it quite clear that I'd never said that we will take over cleaning the garbage. I know we have the management responsibility.
Fair.
But what we did was we are working on the downtown in the parade area to make sure that to show Jamaicans, residents of Kingston St. Andrew, that we can maintain that area. So we have been having sweepers clean the market. We have put a temper's skip, not a temper skip, a garbage bay, well ventilated, inside of the park, where we take the garbage and put in there, and at night we move it to the dump. So those are some of the things that we have done. And we have also, in terms of maintaining, is going to the bathrooms, into the markets, to make sure that they are at a certain standard. We have spent about $25 million on 7 so far. After we've completed this phase, we are moving to the others.
Okay. And well, I mean, we can't talk about the budget without talking about collections and the funding of the budget. And I know that has been very difficult for all municipalities across the country in terms of collecting delinquent fees from the various areas. How has that gone so far?
Well, I'm not yet in a position. I've seen, but I'm not in a position to give you an objective answer to that. What we have been doing For example, we have done the trade license where we have gone in with National Solid Waste Management Authority, the fire brigade to check on the safety, public health to look at their bathroom facilities. So we have gone in there to make sure that they are compliant with our trade license. And TAJ, of course, is onto that. And we have seen some improvement. We have moved even further to say we have named these persons who are delinquent on particular roads so far. Late as today, I was in Papine area walking with this National Solid Waste Management Authority, the KSMC and TAJ to check on these things. So it is, and one of the things I'm really doing, I'm not going with a brute force with a stick in my hand. What I'm going to do is a public education campaign. A lot of persons don't know that the signs that they have in their business space, they ought to pay for it once a year. So it's a public education, and forums like these will certainly help us disseminate information.
Okay, Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, thank you so much for your time, sir. All the best, and we look forward to hearing more about this budget for the people.
Thank you very much.
We take a break and come back with more.
So where you get? The new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich, my girl. The flavor just hits different.
Blackened like it burn up?
Nah, man. Blackened because of the color of the Louisiana herbs and spices. Blackened like the flavor buck. No breading and the seasoning soaked deep in the chicken. But get yours and try it, cause me nah share here. Get the new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich. Limited time only.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the hose and tool boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Drop, cover, hold on.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
It's a showdown of the shows. 6 shows, 1 winner. Who will it be? Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. from Monday, November 4 to Monday, November 11 for the NNN Quiz Competition. Get ready for the ultimate test of knowledge in our thrilling NNN Quiz Competition. Friendships have been transformed into rivalries as our shows compete in the ultimate showdown. With each correct answer, the excitement builds, and with each incorrect one, opportunities are lost. The stakes are high, and the listeners will be on the edge of their seats. The NNN Quiz is back. Tune in between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. during CliffViews Online from Monday, November 4 to Monday, November 11 for the NNN Quiz Competition. Who will emerge victorious on this edition of the NNN Quiz Competition? Find out only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. The NNN quiz is brought to you by the Student Center, the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment Jade Limited, Wellington Dental, Mark's Superstore, New Pack, Hydrate Water, Mats Unlimited, and JTA Credit Union.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to Nationwide at 5. I'm at the Karam Speed Auditorium at Merle Grove High School, where the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is presenting their town hall meeting for their budget under the theme, Bringing the Budget to the People. I'm with Councillor for the Havendale Division and ranking member of the Finance Committee for the KSAMC, that's Councillor Vernon McLeod. He's also the member of the Jamaica Labour Party. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you, Kevin. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you.
I'm happy to see you here today, and I would love to get your input on this budget for the people. You're under a PNP mayor, but there seems to be an emphasis placed on this budget that it is considered very bipartisan and that input has come from both sides of the caucus. So I would love to hear your opinion as to how this budget was put together and what it is expected to present to the people.
Okay, thank you. And good evening, listeners. Now, our budgets, normally all of them are built on the basis of a bipartisan participation. In the former council, it was so. And in this council, a rather interesting one, as you know, it's split 2020. And so we continue the process, the same procedure, whereby all of us, it's about, I can't remember how many are on the committee now, but maybe I think it's about 15, 16. But in the former council, all 40 members were members of the finance committee. But with the split now, things are somewhat different. But it is working exceedingly well. And the budgets, as we all know, it's a statement of indicating our revenue sources, how these revenue sources are garnered, as also expenditure, how we spend it. And we have to ensure that it is realistic and it represents the will of the people. That is, we take people's, the constituents' needs into consideration. And at council, it is primarily drafted by the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer's department. He leads that aspect of it where they would gather information from the various departments and then plug it in to get it together. Now, after that is done now, then it's taken to the Finance Committee for a first look at it. We go through it in detail to ensure that all the expenditure items that we are expected to undertake, they are there, all the revenue sources that they are there to garner, that they are all there. And we look at it, we see where we can make adjustments, and we agree to disagree, but in the end, we agree a final budget, and then after that is done, agreed, then it is taken to the council for formal approval and then on to our parent ministry.
So explain to me that process of agreeing to disagree.
Oh, well.
I would really love to hear that, especially when you have such a split.
Yes. You know, for example, let's say expenditure on roads. Councils we have substantial number of roads that are need of some rehabilitation and some repairs, ordinary repairs. So you'll find that councillors would want so many of their roads to be included in the program. But unfortunately, the funding that we have, which is the parochial revenue fund, which we get from the local government ministry, it is not sufficient to really deal with all the issues that we have. So we have to give and take. How many we're going to do, how many we're going to spend on this particular council division. But we agree. We agree in the end.
And when you decide on the priorities and you have to stack those priorities against your fellow councillors as well as the councillors on the other side, how is the final decision arrived to in terms of, let's say, X road must be fixed versus this road which may have to wait another year or another few months?
What we do is that we make allotments to the various expenditure allotments to the various divisions. And for example, a very small road, it would take maybe about $8 million to be overhauled. So when funds are allotted for road repairs to these divisions, then the councillor together with residents would identify what particular road they believe is of highest priority. And then the engineering department would go out and do all the surveys and costings, and if it falls within that, then that expenditure is done to get that particular road done.
Okay. And when we talk about people making their input in the budgetary process, as we expect here today during the question and answer session, how is that now brought back to the council and then used as a foundation for further adjustments, maybe not in this budget, but into future budgets?
Right, because this budget is a 2024-25 budget. This was already cast in the last administration. And it should have really have gone to the people for discussion, but there are a number of issues that cause it to be late. Some outside of our own control at council. But what we intend to do this evening here is to, when we're doing the 25-26 budget, then we're going to invite comments, recommendations from citizens associations, ordinary residents, as also councillors and others, to make their input as to what is it they would like to see happen in their particular locale. And all of that now is taken into consideration when we draft in the budget, and we take it from there to finality.
Understood. That is Vernon McLeod. He's a councillor for the Havendale Division and the ranking member of the Finance Committee for the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Thank you for joining me today, sir.
It's my pleasure, Siobhan.
Same to you.
Thank you.
More after this, listeners and viewers.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
When Sagicor Bank thinks of a woman, here's what we see. We see business leaders managing sole trader businesses to large corporations. We see university graduates as our women uplift themselves academically. We see more homeowners, ambitious women working hard to build their own legacy. We see leadership at home, with women proudly providing for and taking care of their families. We see entrepreneurs, Jamaican women playing a leading role in our economic growth. At Sagicor Bank, we see the invaluable contribution of women in the home, communities, businesses, and development of our country. That's why we're in their corner, supporting Jamaica's women as they strive to achieve their dreams.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica and the Concert Chorale of Harlem present Éclat Opéra, a breathtaking evening of arias, classics, spirituals, and jazz at the Little Theatre. 2 shows, November 16 and 17. Tickets at Monarch Pharmacy, Sovereign and Barbican, Fontana, Waterloo, Music Mart, and online at Eventbrite. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica and the Concert Chorale of Harlem in concert November 16 and 17 at the Little Theatre. Main sponsors, the Jamaica Tourist Board and the Chase Fund. Details available on Facebook and the press.
The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development celebrates November as Local Government and Community Month under the theme Local Government at Work, Facing the Future Together. And you are invited to our National Church service on Sunday, November 3 at 10 a.m. at the Webster Memorial United Church, 53 Halfway Tree Road, Kingston. You can find the date, time, and location for all other events and activities at www.localgovjamaica.gov.jm. Come celebrate Local Government and Community Month with us.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
This is your chance to upgrade your kitchen with the Mega Kitchen Promotion. Tune in to Outside with Pepita from 2 to 5 p.m. for the Mega Kitchen Promotion at Megamart, 29 Upper Waterloo Road on Saturday, November 2, 2024. Spend $6,000 or more before GCT at any Megamart location for a chance to win a brand new stove, fridge, and microwave this Christmas. Come on down to Megamart Waterloo for all the excitement, hype, and games. Walk away with prizes and interact with your favorite brands and products. Don't miss out. Come to Megamart Waterloo for the fun and leave smiling with prizes. Join us outside with Pepita on Saturday, November 2 from 2 to 5 p.m. It's the Mega Kitchen Promotion at Megamart, 29 Upper Waterloo Road, Kingston, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Megamart.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. I'm at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Marlgrove High School in St. Andrew, where the Kingston St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is having their town hall meeting under the theme, Bringing the Budget to the People. The Mayor of Kingston St. Andrew, Andrew Swaby, and several councillors in the KSAMC are set to speak about the importance of finance at the corporation, how they manage the budget to ensure proper management. They'll also address the importance of bipartisanship in budgeting. The Municipal Corporation's Chief Financial Officer, Kevin Blair, is also set to talk about the 2024-2025 financial budgetary projections. We're going to now send you to the main stage where Eugene Kelly, that is the Whitfield Town Division Councillor, is currently addressing the audience.
Our Finance Committee and one of our presenters. And of course, you welcomed our Mayor. To the Mayor's right is he's a Chief Financial Officer, and his name is Kevin Blair. And to his right is Dr. Olivia Rose, Performance Coordinator at the KSMC. And she will take over the moderation of our question and answer session. We are streaming live, so I want you to know some of our ground rules. We're going to limit our movements, and when we're moving, we're going to try not to create an eruption with the chairs, okay? We started late, and so we're not going to keep you because I know a number of you haven't eaten dinners yet, so we're not going to leave. We're not going to keep you here much longer. Residents, ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant good evening again. The KSMC welcomes you to our town hall meeting, the second in our series, at which we will be discussing our budget, the municipality's budget. And our theme today is bringing the budget to the people. At this time, I'm going to ask you to stand for the playing of our national anthem. be seated. I did not introduce myself. My name is Eugene Kelly. I'm the councillor of the Whitfield Town Division and chairman of our Civic International Community and Public Relations Committee, the committee charged with the planning of this function. Budgeting residents, whether short or long term, is an important part of the planning process for any organization and must be treated with the seriousness it deserves. We now invite the city council city inspector, your time, Alric, to bless this evening's proceedings. I now once again ask you to stand as city inspector delivers prayer.
Good evening. God is good. And all the time. Once more, God is good. And all the time, God is good. You know, Psalms 127, I think it's around verse 2 said, unless the Lord build a house, those of us who labor, we labor but in vain. So we have to ask God to help us as we seek to build this noble city. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Son of the living God, we give you thanks for your goodness, your faithfulness, your loving kindness, and your tender mercies. Had it not been for your goodness, God, none of us would be here this evening. So we're saying thank you. Lord, we're giving you thanks for the management of Kingston and St. Andrew. And Lord, even as we seek, mighty God, to build this noble city, we ask for your wisdom. We ask for your insight. We ask for great understanding. And that, Lord, you will bless us as we build, and those of our citizens, you will bless everyone, mighty God. We ask, mighty God, that even as we go through this process this evening, you will bless us, mighty God, and that which we aim to achieve will be manifested. We give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We're here at the Karam Speed Auditorium, Merle Grove High School. And I know I saw acting principal Ricketts. Principal Ricketts, you're here? No? Probably she stepped away. But we are in the division. We are in the division, the Cassia Park division. And here to welcome us to the Cassia Park division is Councillor Beverly Prince.
Thank you, Chair. Good, right, sir? Yeah. Thank you, Chair. His Worship, the Mayor of Kingston, Councillor Andrew Swaby, Mr. Xavier Shevans, Acting CEO, managers, staff of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, members of the media, listening audience, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good night. On behalf of my division, the Cassia Park, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all this evening at this, our second town hall meeting. Let me also extend profound gratitude and appreciation to Mayor Andrew Swaby and the KSMC for choosing Cassia Park at this time. Mayor, I am extremely grateful that in your 9th month in the chair, you have graced us here in Cassia Park with your presence. I know your route here this evening would have taken you on the outskirts of the Cassia Park division. As I once mentioned to you, sir, I would love an early visit from you with a tour of the Cassia Park division so you can see firsthand of the situation that faces the residents of this great municipality, and in particular, the Kashapar division. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to your participation and active interaction as we anticipate a very productive town hall meeting. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the Kasha Park Division. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Prince. Town hall meetings, in keeping with the strategic objectives of the KSMC. From the outset of his tenure, he made a solemn commitment to transparency and accountability, and to mitigate against any form of corruption within the KSMC. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as we welcome His Worship, the Mayor of Kingston, Councillor Andrew Swaby.
Not sure, Gandhi. Thank you. Please be seated. The chairman of the evening proceeding have already welcomed you, so I'll just say good evening, and also I should say Councillor Prince also have welcomed you, and she had asked me for a visit of her division. And I told her, yes, so you don't have to make another thing. And I certainly will do that. So just let me welcome you to this town hall meeting to discuss the KSMC budget for 24-25 financial year. We are here today, this evening, to have an open and candid conversation. You will agree with me that the budget that we are going to discuss was already cast by the previous administration, and my good friend Councillor Vernon MacLeod was then chairman of the committee, and he will agree with me that events like these is to give you a better understanding of the KSMC budget and to tell you the budget process. And I know my finance chair, Mr. Dennis Gordon, will explain to you of the budget. You might ask, why is it that we are discussing the current financial budget when it has already been cast? I'm saying to you that we are using this year as the base year, and your recommendations and the discussion that we have will certainly influence subsequent budgets. The 2025-26 budget, it's on its way, so there's a limited time, because I know that just about now we should have been submitted something to the ministry, but we have a limited time. One thing I will assure you, that come next year, we'll have an earlier one, so we can have better feedback, and so it influences the thing immediately. In my inaugural presentation, I speak to some core values that will characterize the administration that I lead. I speak to the whole issue of the commitment to citizen engagement. What do I mean by that? I mean that we will have more town hall meetings like these. And I did make a commitment to have at least one per quarter. And you'd have heard Councillor Prince said this is the second one that is sponsored by the KSMC. I've gone to others but those were sponsored by community-based organizations such as your Citizens Association, and one that readily comes to mind is the one in Havendale, in Councillors Vernon MacLeod Division. I also speak to the core value of transparency. And if you are not transparent, the people will not believe in you. And that is critical to us. And what we have done in that aspect, we have made sure that we have public signing of contracts. We have made sure that we have posted all contracts on our website after it has been properly procured. And we are making sure that the public is accessible to us in every way. So we have had various stakeholders meetings so to make sure that we are open and transparent to you, the citizens that we serve. Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the KSMC staff who have, and the bipartisan team that have put on this event. And you would have seen it manifest itself where we have Councillor Priest from an opposite side who gives the welcome. We have seen where the ranking member, we are going to see where the ranking member will speak to some of, will be on the agenda and will speak into you. So it is a collaboration of the entire KSMC, because we believe that we have to be one to represent you. I won't speak much today. I will listen and respond. But before I take my seat, I will talk to I'll speak to you about some of the priorities of this administration. Our priorities does not necessarily mean that we won't attend to your priorities. Let me be very clear. We have to look at the whole issue of infrastructure. That is our road and road-related activities. And Councillor Gardner will speak to the parochial revenue fund, where it is generated from, and what some of these things can do. We have to look at our whole issue of service delivery and how we respond to you in a much quicker and professional way. And one of those things we are trying to do is to make sure that we move to a digitization of the KSMC. This administration is not pleased with the manual service that we have done. And one of the things that we are doing, we are making sure that all councillors will receive laptops in near future. That contracts have been signed already, and we'll make sure that they receive laptops where we can cut down on the paper, where the minutes of the meetings are not sent to you on paper, but are sent to you electronically, and will cut costs. I can assure you, by doing that, millions of dollars will be saved in that regard. We're also focusing on improving the competence of our staff. We have done an assessment, and we have seen where we need to upgrade the staff. And what we have done so far, we have a contract with Exed Community College, where they have come into the KSMC. I think it is Monday to Friday from 5 to 9, where 30 odd of our workers are going to classes right in the chamber. And that will be one of my greatest joy 2 years when I'm witnessing those persons receiving their associate degree. We're also going to focus on our green spaces. What do I mean by that? Too many of our communities doesn't have green space where we can go and relax or we can go and play. And while the funding is limited, we have to seek some grant funding to make sure that becomes a reality. And you would have seen that we have focused so far on our St. William Grand Park. And I'm sure if you have gone there recently, you'd have seen that it's somewhere where you can sit, you can talk to people, you can play dominoes and those things. And you also can use the sanitary conveniences, because I must say, we are not pleased with how our citizens have treated around the park. We have to be constantly washing down the park 3 times around the park, 3 times a week. Yet we have several sanitary conveniences in the park that people can use it. There are 2 or 3 topical issues I want to speak to you before I go. I want to speak to you on the issue of garbage collection and street lights. And I want to explain to you how it affects the budget. When Mr. Blair comes to you, he will be in a position to tell you what is spent on garbage collection and street lights, what is spent on our books. But it doesn't come in our hands. It goes straight from the Ministry of Local Government to National Solid Waste Management Authority and to the JPS without the local authority signing off on that. In the near future, we'll be speaking those issues mainly to the Ministry of Local Government, because this prevents proper oversight. What it means that if your garbage is not collected, they still get paid. What it means that if your lights are not repaired within the prescribed time, they get paid. A proper system has to be put in place. I also want to speak to the issue because there are some misconception of the KSMC's role in garbage collection. And I understand. I was very vocal when I'm campaigning about garbage and the state of Kingston. But I didn't say that we were going to replace the National Solid Waste Management Authority. I honestly believe that National Solid Waste Management Authority should stick to the regulation and give the local authority the responsibility with the resources to take the garbage up. I have that fundamental belief. But this is not so yet. So we are working with the National Solid Waste Management Authority to get the garbage clean. Even today, I was in Papine with National Solid Waste Management Authority, with our trade license persons, with the TAJ to check on the trade license and also to check on to make sure that these businesses are dispose of their garbage in the correct way. It is not the responsibility of the National Solid Waste Management Authority to take up commercial garbage. If you want them to take it up, you have to have an arrangement with them that you pay for it. The National Solid Waste Management Authority responsibility is to take up domestic garbage, the ones that you generated at home. And we have to do better on that. Too many of our businesses just put out their garbage on the roadside, especially in our town centers, and then cause the National Solid Waste Management Authority have to go there and take it up when they should be in the communities taking up the garbage. And while I say that, I will equally say that as citizens, we have to develop a little more in terms of our civic pride. We cannot be continuing to dispose garbage anywhere. It is not right, and we have to talk about it. We can't idolize this type of living, because when we talk about the National Solid Waste Management and the KSMC, you have to talk about how did it get there. You have to talk about how did you containerize it and put it out there. So we have to be honest, and we have to have that honest discussion. Another thing I want to speak to about is the state of our markets. We don't get a subvention from government to fix our markets. So it is out of our own source revenue. And I'm sure Councillor Gordon will speak to that. And what own source revenue mean, even the market's fees. And I will agree with you that the market's fees are low. And they are not paying it, and we have a problem with persons who are competing against us. I'm talking about extortionists. I'll agree with you on all those things. So we want to fix up our markets, but it's going to take some time. But at the same time, within the first 100 days, we have allocated $25 million where we have started to fix up 7 bathrooms. Because we believe that our bathrooms should be in a state where both our vendors and our buyers can use it. And the ones that we have fixed up even have showers in it to make sure that the vendors can have a bath, because some of the time they come from country and want a little bath because they stay overnight. So those are things that we are dealing. But it can be where also we just vend any and everywhere. I've had a meeting yesterday with the Haywood Street vendors because we are going in on Sunday to make sure that we are wash down the road. We are make sure we take up some of those coconut, ox and those things, and to take up some of those stalls that are not being used. So we have had a meeting, we have sensitized them on those matters and to deal with that. In closing, as I said, I won't speak long. I welcome you to this event. It is mandatory for us to have town hall meetings discussing the budget once per year. Incidentally, the last one was done 2014 when I was chairman of finance. I've given you my commitment that every year we will have a particular town hall meeting to discuss the budget, because we believe that we are calling to action. Let us work together to make Kingston better and a more vibrant city for all. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it again for the mayor. Wonderful proposals. And for the vendors, are there any vendors here? Yes. Those facilities have started to look wonderful, Your Worship, and I can tell you, I'm getting calls far and wide, especially the Crossroads Market. Everybody's talking about how beautiful the Crossroads Market is. At the KSMC, we believe in bipartisanship. And on that note, I have to pause. Councillor Tasha Schwab is where is she? Wave Councillor. We are on the other side, but when you see we're doing the work of the people, you'd never know it. And it is so in the Finance Committee. Our ranking member, Councillor Vernon MacLeod, will now bring us greetings. Councillor Vernon is an entrepreneur. He's a financial advisor, among other things. But most importantly, he's giving his intellectual talents to us at the KSMC, and we're appreciative. Councillor MacLeod.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And let me say all protocols observed. But, Your Worship, I must say to you that I'm indeed pleased. It's a pleasure to see the interest, the substantial interest of our residents coming out this evening to really listen to us, because I think they deserve it. They need to know exactly how their tax dollar is spent. And I really congratulate the KSMC for putting on this function. But as also, what I've noticed, Your Worship, is that we have councillors, a good number of councillors from both sides that are here, and staff. But just to define for those of us who, you may have an idea what a budget is.
But simply put, a budget, it is a plan. It's a financial plan, and normally you write it down. And in this financial plan, you have your revenue or income, and you're going to state in it, where do you expect to get this revenue from or income? And then you have also your expenditure. What are the things that I expect to spend my money on? And you aim in your budget either to have a surplus, but surely not to have a shortfall. Because if you have a shortfall, it means a number of things. You may have to borrow to meet the expenses that you did not cover in the revenue, or you may have to go into your savings. Now, the KSMC's budget is no more different from your own personal household budget. The difference may be at the KSMC from your household budget, because I know a lot of the budgets at home, these are crafted by single parent. Is that so? But at the KSMC, what we do down there, it is done on a bipartisan basis. What do I mean by this? We have two political parties that are represented in council, the PNP and the JLP. And as it is now, the council is split. But we make sure that whatever issues that we have at the KSMC, we approach it in a bipartisan basis. In other words, we come together, we agree, we disagree, and then we agree to disagree, and we come with an outcome that fits everybody, suits everybody. So, the budget at the KSMC now, first of all, it is drafted in-house by the technical staff from the financial department. And they get the various heads of department to put in that which they believe they're going to need or earn in their particular department for the year. And then the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, his department now puts it together. And when that is put together, it is taken to the bipartisan finance committee at council. Now, at council, what we do there, we look at every single budget object, an expenditure, all of them. We look at every single revenue line. And our aim is to make sure that these are realistic. We don't want to put a budget that we can't meet it. But unfortunately, we are not able to raise the level of revenue that we want to deal with the issues that you have in your particular community. That's one of the unfortunate things. So we plan to see how we could increase our revenue, how we could control cost or eliminate costs so as to arrive at a budget that we can work with. So that's exactly how we do our budget at the council. And after the budget is crafted and passed by council, we don't leave it there. But Chairman of Finance and the CFO will tell you, we'll go into far more detail as to what happens from there. But the Finance Committee monitors the budget on a monthly basis to ensure that we remain on track. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's basically how we operate our finances at council. And I know further details will come from the other two presenters following me. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Councillor McLeod, and thank you for keeping it tight. Our next presenter is a man I've known for many years now. We first met when we were both appointed on the board of the Rural Education Program. A few years ago, you're not going to date yourself now. Councillor Gordon is also an entrepreneur and is making some big waves in the medical industry, the business side, the pharmaceutical side, the diagnostic side. And he is taking time out of this very busy schedule to show his financial wizardry at the KSMC as our chairman of finance. We are in his place, so I want to hear a rousing welcome for Councillor Dennis Gordon.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly, His Worship, the Mayor, members of the administrative staff of the KSMC, colleague councillors, residents of Kingston and St. Andrew, welcome. Tonight, my task basically is to dissect what we have and to present to you how I propose us going forward. There are 3 strategic laws that mandate us to manage the affairs of the council's financial, and we have achieved that. But in order to modernize the services, then we must look futuristic. It can't be that the policies of 70 years ago is the same policies that we put forward 70 years later. One of the stuff that challenges us at the KSMC is revenue. And our revenue source continues to decline while the demand for service continues to rise. And we have to constantly juggling to ensure that we do the basic. Let me share with you. There are 4 areas of own source: property tax, trade licenses. We can talk also about our own source, which is not doing well. Let's be honest, it is not doing well. And because our own source is not doing well, there's a perception that we are not delivering the service at optimum. And I want to spend 2 minutes explaining that. So a budget was crafted 24-25 for $5.4 billion. Sound like a lot of money. But as the mayor said, of that $5.4 billion, we only have control over 50% of it, because monies are taken at source, our own source funds, to pay JPSCO and solid waste, who in my estimation, they are not performing. It is my considered view, therefore, that those monies should come back to the municipality so we can withhold funding from those institutions but not delivering the service to optimum. It cannot be that we're paying for street lights and they are not being repaired. We're paying for garbage collections and they are not being collected. Time comes for us to take back. We must also admit and accept that we have fallen short on compliance. One of our weaknesses is in our inability to do good compliance. So the potential revenue that we can get, we are not getting it because we are poor on compliance. And so one of the things that I have asked for is for a complete staff audit, so we can look at those critical areas that we need to improve the staff complement to ensure compliance. And His Worship spoke about our empowerment of our staff. There are staff members who have been working there for over 12 years and would have lost their job if it wasn't for the initiative of Dr. Rose to ensure that they're enrolled in a tertiary institution so they can be qualified to retain their job. It is scary. Let me also say to those persons who have the billboards and not paying, we are coming after you. It cannot be that you're not paying your fair share when you are collecting. In excess of $24 million is on the road. It could fix some more bathrooms. So take my heed. I am coming after those persons who are not compliant. When we look at the service delivery, I want to deposit to you a basic thing. What we have been using to do piecemeal work can no longer continue. because inflation of about 6% have basically undermined our ability to do much. So I am going to make a bold projection tonight. I believe the time has come that we must sit with central government and demand a portion of central government funding to deliver the service at the local government level. I'm also going to be a little bit more bold. There's a budget of 1.3 trillion. I am demanding 2% of that $1.3 trillion. It amounts to $28 billion. $28 billion will allow every municipal division to get 127 million to do more. That is what we talk about when we say leadership. We cannot continue to play around with the services of the people because there's an expectation. And that expectation has to be addressed. What we get now is a joke. A paltry amount of $10 million. And it takes $30 million to fix a kilometer of road. So if a councillor have a kilometer of road at 10 million, how many years is it going to take to fix that road? And our infrastructure has been deteriorating over time. We must find innovative ways of addressing those issues. The whole question of social housing, the whole question of back to school, the whole question of medical assistance, because we treat with the poor. And we must be bold enough to make projections so we can continue to look after those who are more vulnerable in our society. Talking to a few, they'll tell me, well, I am paying my property tax. And that's it. We cannot be that selfish. We understand the dynamics of our economic realities, but everybody have to pitch in so we can subsidize those who are most vulnerable. I am not going to take that position where, because you are able to pay your property tax, so your road must be fixed, your light must be fixed, and those who can't afford it must be discarded. No, I am not going to be a part of that. And under the leadership of Anju Suebi, mayor of this city, we are going to fix that. The mayor also spoke about the renaissance in fixing the market. We cannot continue the way we have been over time. And the CFO will speak to it. We are losing $166 million a year because of poor market fee. If we were to cap that over the last 5 years, we would have lost just about $900 million. Think about what that $900 million could have done to regularize and rationalize our market districts. It is indeed a service that the KSMC must provide. But we need support to fix it, because every one of us use the market district. But it is unsustainable to continue to lose $166 million per annum for market fees. One of the reality of a caring administration is to ensure equity. And where equity is concerned, it means it must be done equally. Again, persons who use our roadways and litter it, we are coming after you. We must have a clean city. We must have a clean city. Those persons who continue to dispose of their waste in the gullies, we are coming after you because it has environmental impact. But most importantly, let me just spend 2 minutes on the budget. I am not here to say who did what or who did not do what. That's not my call. My call is to ensure that under my stewardship and under the leadership of Mayor Angie Swaby, we fix all the anomalies in our budget. And there are many. There are many. The way we cast our budget, and I was talking to Councillor MacLeod once he was chairman, we cannot continue to put an amount for expenditure and then try to find the resources to match that expenditure. For too long, the KSAC is operating with $1 earned, $1 spent. It cannot continue. We have never in the history, the 70-year history of the KSMC, able to collect 100% of our projected revenue. So we must do something about it. And I am proposing that whatever we project as our revenue, we project to spend 80% of that. Whatever the surplus is, His Worship the Mayor will have the authority to see how the surplus is done. It cannot be any other way if we are going to deliver the service. When you look at the building department and the potential for revenue from the building department, we are scratching the surface. And I'm sure the ranking member for building will agree with me. We are not tapping into these resources that we can get because, again, compliance is weak. And tonight, I'm saying it publicly, it's the CEO acting. We are coming at your department to fortify it so we can get the resources we need to fix roads. So when a budget is cast and presented, it is sent to our parent ministry, and more often than not, it comes back late. Because it comes back late, it undermines our spending, because the law says you cannot spend anything unless you have an approved budget. And since my time, we have never received that approval on time. And so it is the very reason why I said, let's do the 23, 24, 24, 25 budget approval so we can continue the work of the KSMC. And I also want to thank my colleagues for supporting those resolutions to have those budget passed. As we look forward to the 25-26 budget, there are significant challenges on the horizon. One, the new compensation package now takes effect. It's now approved. We need to find additional resources so we can employ those persons. Just the building department alone requires over $100 million because we have to remove what we have and to put in place the necessary persons with the requisite skill set so we can manage the affairs. That's $100 million more that we'll have to find to the budget. When you go across the other departments, it is my own math that we're looking at an additional $500 million. Those funds are from own source. It is going to be challenging to find those resources unless we fortify the departments with the personnel to collect. So while it is not doom and gloom, there are significant challenges, and those challenges really rely on us improving collection. I'm appealing to the citizens. Do your part. Pay what you can pay. Because every nickel make a muckle, so said my grandmother. So in closing, I just want to say to you, your finances is in good hands. The management of your resources, they're also in good hands. We have capable personnel. The next speaker will tell you that I am a tickler for detail. I am like a matlock. It don't get by me if it is not right. And that is how we want to manage your affairs. And so we go back to where the mayor started. We're about transparency, we're about accountability, and we're about equity. God bless you all.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Now we are here into the main event. And if I sound like a rushing, I know, just like you, I'm watching the time.
Listeners and viewers, we're coming at you from the Karam Speed Auditorium at Merle Grove High School, where the Kingston St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is presenting their budget presentation town hall meeting. We're going to take a break and come right back.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
Life gets busy, from work to play, but don't forget your health checked.
The NHF card now offers discounts on PSA tests and pap smears to help check for prostate and cervical cancer. Women 21 and over get a subsidy for pap smears every 3 years.
And men 40 and over receive an annual subsidy for PSA tests. Get your NHF card today.
The NHF is here for health. The NHF is here for you.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. Hurricanes can happen, so be prepared.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the Karam Speed Auditorium at Merle Grove High School, where the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation's Town Hall meeting is still going on. They're discussing their budget for the 2024-2025 financial year, and currently Mr. Kevin Blair, he's the Chief Financial Officer for the KSAMC. He's currently making the main budget presentation. We now hand over to him.
Those are some objectives that we have to ensure that is done. So after identifying objectives, we then gather information, which we do town hall meetings, which your councillors are responsible for doing, to ensure that they find out what are your needs as citizens, and then they bring it back to the KSAC that we can factor that into our budget. We look at the options that are available out there. So if roads are in need of repairs, what are the various options that are out there to fix the road? Can concrete fix the road? Can we use tar and mall? What are the various options? And we look at the best options based on costs. We document the plan and we have discussion with our teams within KSAC. So departments meet and they discuss what would they need to as well in order to fulfill these mandates. And then we establish monitoring mechanisms. So monitoring mechanisms are for you. So if your councillor come to you and say that we'll be fixing 5 roads within the financial year, and you listeners say that these are the 5 roads thing that is most important, it is your mandate to monitor to see if these 5 roads are fixed. And what our mayor has done, he has gone public with all works that we sign off on at KSAC. So if roads are scheduled to be fixed, these are published on our website, and you can go there and see when your roads are to be fixed and hold your councillor to task. And we make provisions for other problems that may arise. So we know each year we have disasters that come about, hurricanes, so more frequently earthquakes. So we make some provision for these kind of disasters as well in our budget. So the budget we prepare in a mixed way. We use historical data, to show what are the trends in our collection for revenue, what are the expenses that we hope to incur. We also use an inflation rate of 5 to 15%, as well as we have staff to pay, so the government would outline the staffing scale that we use to pay these staff, and those that is used to as well. And then most important, the allocation that comes from the tax office and our parent body, which is Ministry of Local Government. Now we look at our current, but these are the figures now, so look at the figures, we're going to look at the figures. And for this year, our current budget stands at $5,274,407,000.
Good afternoon, good evening rather, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to the Merle Grove High School at the Karam Speed Auditorium. We are interrupting the main address just to bring you a quick message from Dennis Gordon. He is the councillor for the Maxfield Park Division and the Finance Committee Chairman for the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Good evening, Sir Gordon. How are you doing?
Good evening.
Nice to see you. Just let's get right to it. What is the role of the Finance Committee in terms of the presentation and what goes into the budget?
Okay. So the three strategic law mandates how the budget is to be put together. It's a very basic budget. You identify your policy position, you put a cost into it, and then you find the revenue to do it. That has gone on for 70 years. What we have seen over time is we are pivoting away from that way of casting the budget, simply because our revenue is unsustainable for the demand for the service delivery. And so we have to find innovative ways of improving our own source. There are some things that we're trying to do. For example, we're looking at an opinion from the Attorney General where we can level assess on the JPS code for use in our roadway.
Interesting.
That can give us an additional $3 billion. We're looking at implementing more compliance in dealing with those persons who are delinquent. There's about $100 million that we can collect from those delinquent service users. And so it has to be pivoting from the old to the new. And if you heard my saying, that the time has come where the central government has to sit down with local government and have a real discussion about funding, because we get no money from central government, and we are the ones who are on the front line, tasked with the responsibility to provide all these services without any support.
I can imagine that's going to be a difficult discussion to have with the central government when it comes to putting that into their budgetary priorities. But certainly when you speak of requiring more innovative ways of funding revenue, how does that fall now to the Finance Committee to decide how that money is allocated?
Okay, so let's not go to allocation yet. Let's go to how we get the first sources.
All right.
So as it now stands, there's a DAF, Divisional Allocation Fund. So each council division is earmarked X, which is now $10 million.
Yes.
Grossly inadequate. So what we have to do when we look at the available resources, we set aside an amount so we have equity across the division. But also the main thoroughfares, which is policed, which is used by our traffic, we need to fix them. And so we prioritize based on one. For example, let me back up. We have 4,000 roads. The KSMC
alone.
4,000 roads. Based on current allocation, we could not fix 3 roads.
Oh dear.
Within a year. So again, we prioritize is to ensure that, let's say Maxwell Avenue. Maxwell Avenue is one of the public thoroughfare, is an NWA road, but all the feeder roads thereafter are council road. And they're heavily trafficked because people trying to use these slip roads to get to and from work. And they're deteriorated. Central government need to step up and support us, because we are actually taking the traffic from the central government roadway onto our roadway. So it might be an uncomfortable discussion, but it must be had, if we're going to increase and improve our services.
So when do we start having that discussion then with the central government?
Well, if you would go back to my presentation during the debate, I had called for the same 2%, right, of our revenue. $1.3 trillion was the budget cast. If we get 2% of that, is $28 billion. It's not a lot of money. That $28 billion divided by 228 council division, each division can get 127 million. Just think about how much more we could do. And that's not a lot of money. That 2% of 1.3 trillion to fix local government once and for all is not a lot of money. And I'm sure that Mark Golden, under his leadership, will make those funds available.
Well, the matter of getting funding, I can understand why you'd want the central government to step in, but there's also, as you pointed out, the need for the municipalities to get creative in identifying how they can source their own funds from like fees and such. Have you explored those areas and to see how you can garner additional payments from around the municipalities?
Yes, but there's not much more other than those who are delinquent. There's not much more out there to collect unless you're going to increase fees. Take the market district, for example. We're losing $166 million per annum in the market district. We would therefore have to increase the marketing fees by at least 50% to able just to cover that. I don't believe the public can carry that now. When you factor in inflation at 6 to 7%, it already wiped out any variance that you would have had. And remember, we don't cast a budget for surplus. We cast a budget primarily just to provide the services. And we are unable to do that.
So is there any agreement or consensus among you and the other council members at the KSMC in terms of getting those additional revenues?
No, there's no disagreement. And that is why we operate in this bipartisan situation. Because we understand as councillors ourselves that we are armstrong not to be able to do more because of lack of resources. So it would be foolhardy for anyone to say this is not the way to go. But we must be committed to do it. For example, building fees. Building fees is something that we're not policing properly because we only have 5 building officers. If you look at the proliferation of new buildings, persons are getting approval for one bedroom and they're doing 2. So we need to increase the staff complement to police those so we can control more revenue.
I understand. That's Dennis Gordon. He is the chairman of the Finance Committee for the Kingston St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. We go back now to the main stage where I believe they're having their question and answer session. So please tune in. This is the budget presentation for the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation Town Hall meeting.
Yes. All right. Hello. Good evening, everyone. First, let me commend the KSMC for having this forum. We have to be consistent with your mandate of transparency. I'm a little bit disappointed that we did not have whether the budget or the financial statements in circulation, so persons could actually have something in their hand. All right, to the specific line items. Now, you mentioned a decline in your revenue, which means that the money you're getting is on the decline. Now, there are 2 revenue items which we believe the KSAMC would be collecting more money from. And it's that from your commercial revenue. Remember now you have commercial and you have personal. And by commercial revenue, I'm making reference to the building. So for instance, when persons are constructing buildings, we would anticipate that a fee is charged to these individuals on the premise that you are doing some form of property review and service in the best interest of Jamaica. So that way, your corporate revenue stands to increase. The other thing is your revenue concerning your billboards is what we call recurrent revenue from corporate. So those should really be standing fees. So in other words, to take off some of the pressure in terms of the use of force against smaller players like market players and the market players and the individuals paying personal property tax. You put the lion's share of any organization revenue comes from their corporate funding. So that's a big anomaly. The other thing we recognize with your expenditure.
Okay, 1 second. We're gonna ask, please, that I didn't say this. We keep the questions concise so that the platform can respond while you give your comments also very briefly.
All right, so the question concerns the income from corporations as the significant source of revenue, because you ought not to be complaining when you have corporations that are in the city that are benefiting from the services. As it relates to the expenditure, you have, you have 1 billion, which just says purchases of goods and services. So that doesn't lend itself to transparency for us to truly understand what is it you're buying and what is it you're spending the money on. However, there's another 1.5 billion that has to do with land and structures. Now, if you're going to be spending 1.5 billion on land and structures and you're only receiving 200 million, that's a big disconnect. So those are some of the anomalies that we see that we would like questions, those answers for. And this is on a social front.
Okay, remember now.
Yeah, others.
Yes,
right.
there are others
So
that would like to ask.
The other thing we want to talk about briefly is the development of the road structure, the ward theatre, and just generally the roads and why we're not utilizing the Spark program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So please remember we're taking 5 questions each per person. Not per person, sorry. 5 persons are going to be allowed to ask questions and then you will get a response. However, with that lengthy question, we're going to ask the platform, anybody from the platform who would like to respond.
Mic check. All right, so good question. Again, get her name. What's her name? All right. In regards to the revenue item that you spoke of, as you can see, if the slide can be brought up again, our building fees are on the increase. There is no decrease in that revenue item, as well as our billboards. But as you would have seen in the media, that we're having some challenges collecting our recurring billboard revenue, and so it has been the mandate of His Worship to publish these companies who have outstanding amounts for the KSMC. And that's what we are doing to try and recover these recurring. And I do agree with you, it should not be a problem, but it should not be that we're adding more persons to this list and increasing our revenue each year. In relation to the expenditure now, we just did a summary here, but the full report of the budget is published on our website, and you will see the breakdown as to what make up these figures in our revenue. So it's not that we're hiding anything, but that because of time constraints, we are not able to go in detail with the revenue, with the presentation at this time.
Just to clarify the land and structure. I am at the KSMC for 8 years, and I have been asking for it to be defined. What is land and structure? I still can't get an accurate reason as to why that's a line item. But going forward, we're going to review those line items, and if it is for infrastructure, then it must say infrastructure. So I understand your own concerns. They are my concerns as well. But I can assure you that when we are looking at the new budget, those are some of the areas that we'll be zooming on. Those line items and the characterization of those line items.
You asked a question about, and Mr. Blair tried to answer it, about the billboards and those things. The harsh reality is this, and we have to be frank with you. And like I've mentioned about the whole issue of the compliance. When I talk about the digitization of the KSMC, that's exactly what I mean. Most of the data are manually stored. That means it's hard to be manipulated. So that you have also indicated about why isn't that the presentation of the budget being presented. And I take that for consideration for the next time around of how we can put our budget, or probably what we should do is put our entire budget on our website so persons can look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good night, everyone. I'm Ian Wallace from the New Haven community. And my question is sort of different this evening. My problem is in relation to the entire community. We have a drainage problem that's been bugging us for years. And it's a major drain that runs from behind the George Edley School, go all the way through the community, and end up out by 6 Mile over by the bridge to continue that drain. We had, it starts cleaning the other day, and we had some difficulty because the excavator that was working got stuck down there, and from them take out the excavator, the work stopped. Now it's pure garbage, and because it piled up so bad, the least little rain, no water go down. No water go down in the drain anymore. It come over and it's on land, and it damage the roads, people house, and everything around it. And also, we had, from long time, we have been asking, when they was doing the road out by 6 Mile, we have a problem with drain. The river comes from one area, and then they have a major gully that come down. And we're asking for like a curve wall to divide the river from the gully, down by the entrance there. So 2 can go for the gully and 2 for the curve wall, because the major gully, when the rain comes, that force of water is so heavy that it pushes back the river water up on us, and then the water can't flow. So because of that, we have a major problem. And we've been asking about that for years, and until now, we're still in the problem. So I would like somebody to come and have a look at it and see how best we can help the community. The roads are very, very bad down there. It needs proper drainage on the road, and we need road surface to drive on. Because people going out from work, them put on them shoes, some people have to use plastic bag over them shoes because I'm going to work, I don't know, I'll get messed up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. I'm Admarie Phipps, and I'm representing Jerusalem. That's Patrick area. Andrew Holiness is the Prime Minister. Why all the while is they out on the main road fixed? And they don't fix the community road like Balcom Avenue, Sam's Avenue, Primrose Avenue, Unity Drive, Primrose Avenue, Penny Road down at the bottom there. So it's just on the main road. We vote and we have lovely house down there, lovely upstairs down. So we develop, but the road don't develop. From I used to go to Balmaji Primary in the 80s. I see site and service digging up, fixing the road. And from that, only Unity Drive fix. We in Fort Fair and Phase 5 and over Jerusalem 1 and 2. We need some road too. We are real cut out that. Anyway, next topic. About the part grant now. Why the councillor, whoever down there, you apply and you write up for the grant, and at the end of the day, you pass it, but you don't get it. For the part grant, the part grant for back to school, and you don't get it. And they say, oh, you're going to get it. And them say, we're not ready for this year. I thought it was going to ready for this year, and the children, them need it like my child need it too. And we don't get it. Why? We're only filling up the farms and they just throw away the farms. Another thing. Yeah,
that's your final question? Okay, hold on. That's your final question?
What about this year? I hear you talk about these people on the street. There is a Jews Community Center down there, the infrastructure. We used to get the food from the social, whatever, where them give the food. There, so them stop give it. Why we cannot do it at the community center like what used to go on from long time there? We have the center there not using up.
Okay.
We could even cook there and even when you come with the food like first, you have enough insane person, enough street person in Jerusalem and Waterhouse that needs help. That is my topic. Bye.
Thank you. You may go ahead.
All protocols observed. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Jaheem Mitchell, and I'm a youth from the Greenwich Town Division, specifically the community of Majestic Gardens. So firstly, I must give a few commendations to His Worship the Mayor and his plans for the KSMC, because as a youth, I believe that not just Jamaica, but the world is moving in a digital form. So it's really good to see that there are initiatives being imposed to ensure that the staff is upgraded. Commendations to you, comrade. All right, so my questions surround the revenues. So Councillor Gordon mentioned that the revenue continues to decline. My question is, why is this so? And has an assessment been done to carry out the reasons of why this is so? Also, I have been a participant of the Youth Summer Employment Program, and we do collect data manually, as mentioned too, as the Mayor mentioned. What I want to know is, seeing that I've been doing this for several years, what has happened to that data over the years? Why is it that we have seen no members of the KSMC come into our communities where youth go into, and we ensure, because I can speak for the youth of my division, we ensure that the data is properly formulated and readable to whomever gets it. Also, I just want to put it out that I must also commend the panel, because the last time we had a town hall addressing the budget and bringing the budget to the people was in 2014 when Dr. Angela Brown-Burke was the mayor. I rest.
Thank you. You may go ahead.
Check.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Shwana K5, and my question is in regards to property taxes. So we know that as residents, property taxes are mandatory. However, realistically, persons fall behind with payments or are delinquent. What I want to know, can you say, are reminders sent out to residents regarding payments? And if yes, how is this done?
Thank you so much. Okay, so at this time, we're going to allow the panel to answer the questions that were asked.
All right. Hear me? All right, I'm going to try to answer some. I'm going to leave for Councillor Gordon and Mr. Shavans. In my presentation, I spoke to the issue of greater focus need to spend on community roads. I did acknowledge that that's an issue, and during my administration, we'll have greater focus on community roads. In terms of the issue of PAD program, I will just simply say that's not under our authority, but I will simply say that I will represent the views of the lady that spoke on it. The whole issue of people on the street, I'm not sure if I got it right, but what I can say to you is that the Poor-Relief Department has been feeding persons, and they are going to certain central areas. I will immediately say, though, that We are looking at, and we have been compiling a list of all the persons who have been feeding persons, because what we want to do is to make sure we feed them in a central area and not just on the road, because the same homeless community have been littering the streets also. Just look at King Street in front of Justice Square. That's it. So we are dealing with that. The question or the data, the information on the data, the current arrangement is that those persons, those information have been sent to the ministry. It is put straight to the ministry. And we are working to see how we can get those data that we can influence the decision that we make. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you. So the question about the decline in revenue really stems from enforcement or the lack thereof. Take the building department, for example, who can do much, much more. But they only have 5 billion officers. 5 billion officers is grossly inadequate to police all the development that is going on in the city. And so it is one of the reasons why we are trying to urge full compliance as it relates to the improving the number of persons in that department. And I spoke about moving from 5 to 24 and moving the salary from where it is to 100 million. That is how we're going to get full compliance when we have those personnel. As it relates to the disparity between funds available to do the services, what we could do with 10 million 5 years ago, we can't do the same with 10 million now. And I gave the example, whereas 1 kilometer road takes $30 million to repair. And so as we go along, we have to strategize and we have to sensitize the public the difference between the local government roads and that of the NWA. I think that is also an area that we need to explain to you which entity is responsible for what set of roads.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to speak to the issue as it relates to the Duane River and just briefly on the Jewsland as it relates to the deplorable roads. So I'm Xavier Chevans. I'm the acting chief executive officer. However, my substantive post is the chief engineering officer. So the Duane River is nothing new to us. We had done a tour right before burial with his worship. We know what the issue is. It's a very perennial issue, but the real issue is that New Haven community is just about at sea level. So the area closest to the river will always flood. However, based on the intensity of rainfall, that will determine the time when it runs off, but that area will always flood. As it relates to the gully that when the gully meets the river at 90 degrees, it creates a problem, as in the flow from the river will restrict the flow from the gully. What we have done 2 years ago is to put a separation berm to allow to kind of move the angle of alter the angle where the gully enters the river, so that to minimize the restriction of flow. However, that river needs constant maintenance, and I cannot speak about the work that is being done now, because we are not doing any work there now, but I will follow up with my brother agency, the NWA, and to address the situation where garbage, you said the debris is still on the side and it poses a possible threat to go back into the river. But it's something that we will look at, and then we will update you accordingly. One of the things, the roads in New Haven also is compounded by other issues, because residents have to be fair. Some of the residents use the roads in an unkindly manner, meaning that they dump all type of stuff on the roadway. I understand the roadway is very undulating, but what we will do what we can do with the resources available to make things a little bit better. Jewsland community. Councillor Gordon had indicated earlier that there are two types of roads. You have your main roads and your parochial roads. So the National Works Agency focuses on the main roads while the parochial roads are under the purview of the local authority. However, it becomes a funding issue. So what we try to do is that, what Mr. Gardner highlighted earlier too, is that we're getting the same money to do the same amount of work. So we try to do is to see how best we can use our resources prudently to address some of these issues as best as possible. To add to that, so my colleague, Mr. Blair, would have indicated earlier that the revenues for repairs to infrastructure like our roads, our drains, and our sidewalk comes from the motor vehicle licenses and the property tax. And so I implore you at this time to additional resources can be achieved from you paying your property taxes. So see if you can try to come up to par with your property taxes so we can have additional resources available to address those roads. Someone asked a question about property tax, and if there are, yes, reminders are sent out, but just like it is due annually, and just like your driver's license, no, not the driver's license, like anything that you have that is due annually, the website is also there so you can check to see the amount and you can make your relevant payments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have the next set of questions now. I am seeing only 3 persons. This is the final 3. All right. 4.
Hi, good night. My name is Renee Johnson. As you just spoke about road and finding the additional revenue, so I do have a question for the KCMC. So I am asking, is there a policy or a fund of some type that allows for large businesses who have maybe things to deliver, trucking, so on, and therefore to reinvest into the communities that they're in, that's making them all of that money? Is there some sort of policy that holds the businesses within communities accountable in having them put back something into that community? Because I have passed businesses who are on certain type of roads, and you can tell that they transport a lot of heavy things. The roads are terrible. No, I'm not sure if KCMC addressed that road, and then after the fact, you know, trucks, of course, it's going to deteriorate faster. Is there a way, or do you guys have something in place to have these businesses, because I hear you say that you need revenue, yes, to have these businesses put back or put some type of a fund in place to then help to fix these roads, since, as you said, you get the same money, so we have to find money somewhere else.
Thank you.
So that's my question.
Fantastic question.
We're going to take the next question first. Just hold that response, Mr. Gordon. Thank you.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, panel. My name is Diego Reed. I'm from the Brandon Hill Division, and I love the transparency. Let me start off with that. It's a breath of fresh air, and I hope we continue in this manner. Now, the KSMC is predominantly Kingston, and it's all gloom and nice. But I'm from the rural area, and oftentimes, and I know it's because of the geographical landscape, sometimes things not feasible at the moment to do certain things all the time. But I live in a rural vicinity, we take on certain challenges right here around because...
Thank you, listeners and viewers, for joining us here at the Karam Speed Auditorium at the Merle Grove High School for the Kingston St. Andrew Municipal Corporation's Town Hall meeting presenting their budget. We're signing off now. And thanks to our technical engineer for today, Jermaine Compass, our branding assistant, Sheldon Richards, who put all of this together. The technical operator in studio is Andrew Glenn Anderson. My videographer for the evening, Jamal Tucker. The business development executive, Audrey Williams. Our super producer, as always, Dana Davey. And the news and production team led by the capable Cara Powell. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
So where you get? The new Popeyes Blackened Chicken Sandwich.